What's up? Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, and this, as much as shocking as it would be because it doesn't look like Mary, is Mary. This is Mary's other avatar that, well, more like a regular... Well, because people are used to your regular Mary avatar, and now suddenly you got like makeup on, and you got boobs, so like, it is gonna be a shock.
I had boobs before.
Yeah, but usually they're covered up. Yeah, typically they're covered up. It's like, oh my god, she has makeup. Mary is hot.
I'm a woman.
You are a woman, I know.
I'm a woman, and I'm proud to be a woman.
Anyway,
big booba.
This is Mary's other avatar too. Basically cosplay and dress up like Mary. And honestly, I think it looks pretty cute. Anyway, that's what you're gonna be seeing for a couple of videos with us doing all this. So let's get some RPG horror stories for today. There's always a bigger fish. Okay, so I'm writing this from my throwaway because my main has an art and I don't need weirdos. But I have to tell this story before I forget. So we have this Roll20 group, right? DM is Alex, me, Lyra, Elf Cleric, my friend Mira, Tiefling Wizard, and this dude. Let's call him Chad. Human Barbarian, big surprise. From session 0, Chad was like, I'm the alpha, unironically. Kept making jokes about how he'll put a baby in one of you girls, and you need a real man to carry on your elf genes and crap. Mira and I just ignored it, like we didn't want to make it weird. DM Alex never said anything either. Anyway, one session we're in this Temple of Pleasures, DM's words. Chad is already like, I rolled to seduce the hottest princess, before Alex finishes describing the room. Alex says, okay, but first everyone make a con save. We all fail. Blackout. We wake up. Alex says, you don't remember what happened. Maybe intimate stuff with the clergy. And that's literally the end of the story. Okay, hold on a second. So we gotta go ahead and break this down a little bit. So we have a player joining in to this random group. I got a question. Is this common for your group to go to like Temple of Pleasures and roll con saves to black out and have crazy D&D orgies at a temple with a bunch of horny clerics? Clerics of the horny domain, clerics of the bone domain. Mary, would you join the clerics of the bone domain?
No.
What if I joined the clerics of the bone domain? Would you join them with me?
Yes.
That's an easy answer. It's a lot easier to do when somebody else is doing it too. I got a question. Is this a normal occurrence with Alex? Or is Alex a regular guy and then Chad comes over and just gets the worst out of Alex in this situation? I think it's personally kind of cringe that Chad's coming in and saying, I'm the alpha, and like saying stuff unironically. Maybe on one hand there was a little bit of joking, right? Maybe on one hand there was one of those like, I just want to play a character that is supposed to be trying to pretend to be the alpha or anything. Or it could just be Chad coming in with some sort of power fantasy just to be like, yeah, I make the biggest dude possible and need a real man to carry on your elf genes. That is strange, odd, weird. I don't know. It's already got like a weird dynamic going on. The fact that nobody speaks up and says, hey, pipe the hell down is a little bit of weird to me. Like if somebody is not being a problem at the table, that'd be one thing. But I hope you guys spoke to DM after this about DM, why do you think this is a good idea to put us in a Temple of Pleasures and make us all black out and stuff just so we can wake up after like some sort of a crazy cleric orgy?
I'm not gonna lie, at the moment like they started talking about alpha, I was like, ew. And then the first thing I thought of was just that song. It's like, I'm the alpha, I'm the leader, I'm the one to trust. Trust.
Don't trust Chad. Don't trust Chad, however. Mary is the alpha. Mary is the leader. Mary is the one you trust. Not Chad or Alex. Honestly, OP, I just recommend just not playing with this guy. Or hey, if you really want to, just bring it up to Alex and say, dude, what was that about? That was just the weirdest thing ever. Bad DMs need to be told whenever they're doing something, and players need to point out to the DMs whenever the DMs are going a little bit crazy, a little bit too zany, a little bit too extra, a little bit too in a weird direction. I mean, if you care for the table, that's, you know, that's a good thing to do. Otherwise, there's always bigger fish, just like the title says. God, would you look at him? That hubris, that ostentatious hubris. He thought that he was done with the story because the dumb little tiefling didn't even bother to scroll down on the story. What an idiot he is. Hi, I'm Morrow, and last night we had a lot of issues recording, so I probably it didn't click to me that there was more to the story, but here we are. It's very early in the morning, and the only thing I had is a sip of coffee. I've yet to even properly wake up, and I realized as I'm editing through Tales Tomorrow is that apparently this first story had a lot more to cover that I, as an idiot last night, didn't even get to properly cover. So we're gonna do it here today. Without further ado, Chad immediately loses it in the voice chat.
Ha ha, I knew I totally banged Lyra Mira.
I swear to God, Mira types question marks, and I just sat there. Alex goes, actually Chad, your character doesn't remember either. The priests were all non-binary and very skilled. Could be them.
Whatever, I still banged the sexiest priestess there.
There were no priestesses. But anyway, one of the characters is now pregnant. Silence.
Called it. Which one of the girls?
The pregnant one is you, barbarian. I wish you could have seen his face on camera. Like his brain just blue screen.
My dude is a dude.
Magic temple. Divine conception. It happens. You get a baby bump in a few sessions. Chad laughed it off like, haha,
good one, Alex.
But Alex wasn't laughing. This is an insane session. Your DM is literally the most diabolical individual that I've ever seen, and okay, what is your DM going off with? Because I kind of prejudge your DM for being like a weird pervert, and something about Chad being introduced into the campaign sort of get him to be even more of a creepy pervert, and he just wanted to make a random D&D orgy happen. But this is some crazy stuff. Like, I don't even know where this is going. What is DM on with this? Where are they going with this? What is the lead up here? What is the big explosive ending here? What is going to happen? In minus 2 to con saves, you feel nauseous. Session after, your belt is tight, your abs look softer. Session after that, you waddle slightly, speed minus 5 feet. Chad finally snaps.
Okay, this isn't fun anymore. Remove these debuffs.
Alex calm as hell, but you agreed to get pregnant. You literally cheered.
I thought you were joking.
In a world with dragons, male pregnancy is the least weird thing. You rolled to seduce and you didn't ask who you're seducing. All conversations aside, regardless of who deserves it, and if Chad is being a jerk and DM is just like, does dragons, your character get pregnant. Ha 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 ha. Here you go, problem player. In a regular ass game, this is insane. This is genuinely insane. Like, we probably should not be making this be a normalized thing. You know, this comes off heavily as, this comes off kind of weird and creepy. Like, this is the DM's fetish that they're forcing onto a player. And take anybody other than Chad. Let's say it's not Chad. Let's say, for example, it's some girl named Mindy. I don't know why Mindy, we're just going with that, right? And she's not playing a barbarian, maybe she's playing a barbarian, who knows, who cares, right? But Mindy maybe is being, I don't know, problem player regardless, and the DM is coming in with, hey, your character is now a preggers because of my fetish, because of this specific thing that I want to force onto you. It does come off a little bit weird. You know what it comes off as? It comes off as two things. Either one, this is a punishment from the DM, a very particularly odd punishment from the DM in order to make the player's character, the problem player's character, feel weaker, or give him some sort of a debuff, or make him feel like, you know, they're affected by this specific thing that they didn't really ask for. You know, they would cheer off like, yeah, orgies, yeah, but now there's consequences for it. It's almost like a DM forcing this, like, actions have consequences kind of thing. Or two, it can come off as a DM that is using a way to punish a player to also express the fetish as well, which is very much an uncomfortable thing. I gotta be honest. Like, whichever way you rub it, it probably would have been easier if you have a problem player at the table. It's probably just easier to just tell them just to leave the table instead of doing this whole rigmarole, this whole performative stuff. This feels extremely performative. This feels like they're performing in front of everybody at the table in order to bully the player out of the game. And no matter even if Chad deserves it, I still feel like the most normal thing to do in the situation would just be to ask the player to just leave the table and not show up next session, and say they're not welcome at the table. Like, if you really have a problem player that you don't want playing with you, as a DM, you could just say, you know what, Chad, don't come back next session. We don't want you at this table. You're not welcome. Bye. That's it. Oh, that's all you have to say. As a DM, if you say that somebody's not welcome, they're not welcome. But anyway, let's see what happens from this and see if maybe this is just a really cruel and unusual punishment or DM's fetish. Chad just disconnected. We heard him scream through his mic for like half a second, and then silence. Mira and I looked at each other and both fell off our chairs. I was laughing so hard, I choked. Mira spilled her monster energy all over her keyboard. We laughed for like 10 minutes straight. Then Alex stopped in chat. Sorry, I have an M-preg fetish. Couldn't help myself. I'll tone it down next campaign. We're still looking for a new DM, but honestly, Chad deserved it. Lyra, not my real name, please. Don't DM me about impreg, I swear to God. Lyra or Lyra, I know somebody that also uses that, like to write that as an online name, but it's pronounced as Lyra. So whatever the pronunciation is, I'm so sorry. Either way, you know what I said in the video when Mary and I were recording is still very much, I agree with it. I feel like this is just like a weird thing that DM only spurred up because Chad was there. Not because Chad egged it on in any positive way, like the buddy or something, but in a sense, the only thing I'm happy about is the problem player is definitely a problem, but GDM is also a problem. I'm glad you guys be able to recognize that and you decided to look for a new DM entirely. I am really happy for you guys because having random fetishes just be inserted as a cruel, unusual punishment is still a problem regardless. Yeah, like Chad was just being a chud. He was being a problem. He was being a jerk at the table, sure. But Alex doing this specific thing onto the party and having you all part of the ride just to punish one specific player because of their M-preg fetish, I'm assuming male pregnancy fetish, well, I don't know what other acronym this could stand for, is also not a good thing. Imagine if all the DMs suddenly started punishing everybody because, you know, due to the flavor of the fetish, and they're like, well, the player's not going to be around anywhere, let's go and just traumatize them and just shove my fetish all over the place. Imagine, if you will, there's a problem player at my table and now everything has to derail just for people to go to Succulandia just to me to try to bully a player out from with my fetish or something. It's just, it would be weird. I don't know. I would feel uncomfortable. On one hand, what if Chad was like into it? Like, what if Chad was a chud but was like, oh, M-preg? Male pregnancy? I'm down for it. Let's see where this goes, DM. The story could have turned around completely another way. And then at that point, probably Chad and DM will become best friends. Maybe. Who knows? And then everybody else will just have to leave. Honestly, it's still strange. Do not bring your fetishes to D&D. Do not shove your fetishes into D&D. Do not force your fetishes to be main like aspect of D&D, whether you're a DM or a player. But also, don't be a chud. Don't be Chad the chud. Be kind and polite to your players. Like, it's a game where we all play together. Anyway, I think I've done enough rambling. Let's move on back to Mary Morrow doing her thing. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead. Mary got a very big fish. Let's get some
I got a very big fish.
Let's get next RPG horror story for today while Mary whips out that big fish and shows it to me. Now, show it right now. Don't let them see.
I'll do it. I need to whip it out.
Show the big fish.
It's in my pocket.
Oh my god. Damn, that's a huge fish. A player so unlikable that a charismatic character was unbelievable. Hello RPG Horror Stories. Today I bring a short story and a question. The story is fairly short, and I'm being a bit vague here as I don't want to write out the several pages of lore and backstories that would be needed to contextualize every single character interaction. This story is a bit of an example because I'm curious if anyone else has ever encountered this dissonance of characters and players. My story is fairly simple. A couple of friends and I recruited a few unknowns from a forum to play a game with us, with my friend and I having played together for a better part of a decade. One of these previously unknown players proved to be a bit of a problem, and I'm going to be calling this person Player X. Mary, you know how I feel about initials. What is the name of Player X?
X is the worst one to think of.
Yes, exactly.
Zebra with the X.
Zebra? Okay.
Zebra.
You gotta make my head explode with that. The amount of what a reach. My arm's hurting with that reach. Jesus Christ, what a brain gymnastics just to get that done. Can you give me a different one?
All I can think of is xylophone.
Xylophone sounds like a better name. We'll go with xylophone.
It's long though.
That's fine. I'd rather go with xylophone. At least it's not zebra with
like
an X.
Zebra.
Zebra. Sounds like a rejected X-Men character. Zebra. I'll be referring to the character as Character Xylophone in the story. We're playing in a superhero setting where our characters were delinquents on probation at a high school for superheroes. Character Xylophone was a preppy, popular rich girl with criminal parents. During session 0, and before the game started, there didn't seem to be any issues, but those issues started to immediately crop up when we started playing. Player Xylophone did not seem to grasp that even though popular girls in high school are often archetypal, bitchy, and fake, that having their character talk to everyone as if they were a small child and imply other characters were stupid to their face would not make them like her very much. Early in the game, character Xylophone began to almost immediately start speaking in this way to my character, and later escalated to the character conflict by attempting to publicly humiliate him in pretty nasty way in front of the whole school at a party she was throwing. My character, who was intended to be volatile and a bit of a punk, responded by throwing hands. It later confronted character Xavier. Jesus Christ, I'm calling it Xavier instead of Xylophone.
Just call it Xavier. That's fine.
I'm committed. I'm not a quitter. And later confronted character Xylophone and demanded what her problem was. Character Xylophone was evasive and refused to answer. Player Xylophone then complained out of session about the conflict, stating that it was no longer fun for them. This is completely fine. Sometimes out-of-character conflict can get a bit hotter than intended, and things can be worked out of character. I attempt to explain what my character was feeling, saying that because of a previously established connection where our characters were supposed to be on good terms, he felt betrayed by character Xylophone, and that my character would probably apologize and forget about the whole thing if character Xylophone tried to meet him in the middle, to which player Xylophone refused, as their character hadn't done anything nearly comparable. DM then stepped in and ruled that they would just minimally interact for a session or two, would time skip, and then forget about it and be cool, like a lot of teenagers do. Both seemingly agreed. The next day, I woke up to a full-page message in my DMs, where player Xylophone explained to me, in the most condescending and passive-aggressive way possible, that they did not consent to the way my character framed the incident, and demanded that I respected their non-negotiable boundaries, that they control their own character, and that I rewrite the portion of my character's backstory that included our characters being on good terms. I sent the message to my DM and let them handle it. Player Xylophone was told to just let the situation go, and they have complied, albeit still making some pretty nasty remarks about my character and referencing the incident once or twice.
When drama happens, the person is always like, oh, it's like at the table, they always agree like it's fine. Like I'm like, okay, sure, and go along with it. And then literally the next morning it's just like they always get hate from them. And it's like, why didn't you say this during the time and wait?
Because trying to fight with a DM that said, hey guys, break it up, stop doing that. I mean, if the DM says that, yeah, probably this player was like, okay, fine, I'll drop it. But then after session, I'm writing a strong worded letter. How dare you force my character in some sort of roleplay that I didn't agree to? I know that I made my character be catty to your character, but for your character to respond? The audacity, the humanity, characters respond to each other's crappy behavior. Wow! Then if you don't want that sort of conflict, like people don't like when you act like an a-hole towards somebody else's character. I've experienced that before for no reason whatsoever, and I don't like it. I don't like when like okay, it's different. Let's say for example, if it's me and Mary, and our characters are being catty to each other, because Mary and I probably already know what's going on between our characters, and if there's some sort of conflict going on, we're fully in on it. We're fully in on the bit. We're playing. We're having fun with it. To us, it's like a fun way to play out characters and see what sort of like shenanigans and dynamics they get into. One day, I remember specifically, right? Micah and I went out to get, to go chase some rabbit, to just chase around the woods just to like make sure that everything's in the clear. We end up getting scared. Mike ended up killing a rabbit or brought the rabbit back because it was like, we accidentally killed a rabbit. Mary got mad at us to the point where Micah used a diamond worth of 300 gold to cast Revivify on the rabbit because we were that scared. But to us as players, we're having so much fun and fun in situations so stupidly funny. We're using a diamond worth of 300 gold to revive a rabbit that became a pet, by the way, that literally was like some sort of like a godkin, apparently.
Oh yeah.
Because they had some sort of like a 12-word name to them. They had like a 12-word name. Who knows what happened to it? It could have just been a rabbit that was just insane, or it could actually be a person just trapped in a rabbit's body. We don't know. We still don't know to this very day. It's still a mystery to us. We don't play in that campaign anymore. That's the kind of stuff that is going to happen when player characters, futz about. Player characters can get mad at each other without players getting mad at each other. Because at that point, that's kind of childish, right? Getting mad that another player character decided to say, hey, screw you back, buddy, as like a get back towards your character being rude. And this player responding and reacting in such a way just sounds kind of like very, very immature. It's like, oh, my character getting talked back to? The humanity, how dare you force me to that roleplay? It's just nuts. I don't know. It just seems like the player is kind of a drama queen. They want to be able to have the cake and eat it too. They want to be able to be a bully and not have any consequences for being a bully in-game, basically. That wasn't a major red flag, as character Xylophone seemed to behave comparable with plurality. Mary, please help.
Seem to behave comparably with a plurality. Oh my god, now I'm
with plurality. Let's continue.
Yay.
Of the other characters in the game. At one point, characters Xylophone reported an NPC classmate and rival to school administrator for bullying, and essentially got her months of detention. Immediately afterwards, character Xylophone attempted to get the hero team of the NPC character to embark on a mission without the other PCs, and was surprised when they did not want to comply, despite barely knowing her other than that she got their teammate put in eternal detention. She then called them cowards and losers, and was surprised that this did not motivate them to change their minds. On another occasion, character Xylophone, in a scheme I still fail to understand, got another classmate nearly killed and seriously injured. After said scheme, character Xylophone tried to have a sleepover with the principal's ward, another player character who was also in trouble for unrelated shenanigans, and claimed they needed to stay with them because she did not feel safe at home. The principal demanded a further explanation. Character Xylophone refused to elaborate, both of their scheme that nearly killed a classmate and feeling in danger. They were not allowed to sleep over, and when character Xylophone escalated a fight with principal, calling her an evil cunt, I'm definitely gonna have to censor that, amongst other things, were very surprised when character Xylophone was threatened with detainment. On both occasions, and several others, player Xylophone complained out of character about this incident, and seemed to be surprised when the other players did not agree about the injustice of the situation. I think character and player Xylophone is a Mary Sue main character type of character. They think the character can do no wrong. Everything the character does is righteous. They got somebody in permanent detention? Well, it's okay, because you guys can join me on this stuff. You don't want to join me? You cowards! You cowards and losers if you don't join me! Well, damn it, that didn't work. I guess I'll just go try to convince another student to stay over for a sleepover and stuff. What do you mean, principal? I can't do that sort of thing. Can't pull some sort of a scheme. You're absolute no do-gooder to you. What? You suddenly dislike me? What did I even do? It's either lack of self-awareness, or it's not even lack of self-awareness. It's literally narcissism to think that your character can literally do no wrong, and you as a player character can do no wrong. What do you mean it didn't work? I wonder why your schemes don't work. Maybe it's because you're too busy to being a pedantic a-hole to everybody. Have you considered that, perhaps?
She just seems like a person I wouldn't want to play with, because she just seems to be just annoyed at everything and everyone for no reason.
Yeah.
It seems like a lit firework that's about to like burst any second. I don't know.
The firework, it has no fuse in the slightest. It's just like immediately lighted. There's no like wait for it. There's no timing. There's no temper here, right? This is a kind of player that is not a temper. They're playing the character as if they're the main character, and immediately when things don't go their way, they start immediately overreacting, saying, I can't believe it didn't work for my character. My character could do no wrong. Why is this not working? Why is it not going my way? Why isn't everything bending over backwards for my little character? The thing about player Xylophone is that they behave in a very, very similar to their character, speaking with the same condescending tone and phrasing the character did. Gee, I wonder if maybe character and player Xylophone are literally the same person. Maybe they don't know what role-playing is. Maybe what they're doing is just playing their fantasy version of themselves, and instead of just playing as a character and having fun with everybody, they want everybody to always worship their character and instead just let them do whatever and take everything against their character personally because they tie their entire personality to their player character.
She basically wants it to just be her story by the sound of it, or like she just wants things to go her way, and like she wants it to go a specific direction and not have anyone else there.
100%.
She should just play single player D&D.
This is the kind of character, this is the kind of player that you can't play at a table with, because unless things are going exactly their way and everything is bending over backwards just to make sure that their character gets the win every single time, then they're not gonna be super happy about it whatsoever. Like, it's one thing if, let's say, for example, like the magic of TTRPGs is the fact that your character can succeed and can fail. Sometimes it goes their way, sometimes things don't go their way, and things kind of go a little bit tits up, topsy-turvy. It's just part of it. The person that can't possibly allow for this idea that the character would fail in incapacity, or could be, what is that one word? Unfallible, maybe? If the character was just treated as anything other than unfallible, as in they're always in the right and can never do no wrong. I think the word is unfallible. I could be completely misusing the word here, but they treated the character as if the character can never do anything wrong. And if the DM or other players or other NPCs say anything bad or tell them no, or tell them that you fail or you can't do that, instead of just rolling with it and just playing a game like everybody else, they take it personally, as if it's a personal attack on them instead of their character, because their character is just them, just a projected version of them that's actually cool, that can actually do stuff, because otherwise they have nothing going on in their life except to project themselves onto the character. Like, it's one thing to project part of yourself into a character, include something a little bit part of yourself into the character. We all do it in some capacity, whether it's a lot or a little, but like at the end of the day, this is a kind of player that only wants to be the main character, and any sort of crimes against the characters are crimes against them, and God forbid God forbid things don't go your way all the time. God forbid, princess. Those who would complain about the GM when GM was not in call, criticizing GM wasn't yes-anding enough, and that other characters were receiving preferential treatment. When anyone else would try to explain why they're receiving the reaction they got, they were apparently shocked and argued why character Xylophone was actually in the right. The game fell apart shortly after for semi-related reasons, but I still wonder if player Xylophone genuinely believed that the character they were playing was likable in any way. 100% yes. They are a main character, Mary Sue, Gary Stu, whatever you decide to call it. They are the main character in the situation. They believe they're main protagonists of their entire life, and therefore their characters also the main protagonists of the entire existence of the world around them. And that's why they're so shocked when somebody says that maybe your character is probably not so good. To them, it's like, my character? The horror? My character can do no wrong. That's like the true Mary Sue. Like, that's literally a Mary Sue right there. That's a main character syndrome kind of individual.
Every time I say like Mary Sue, I'm just like, Mary?
No, not you, Mary. Mary Sue, Gary Stu, it's basically a character archetype where basically your character is best as ever, they can do no wrong, they literally are the most powerful character ever because they didn't, they're just so powerful even though they didn't earn it.
Am I powerful?
You earned it. You went through trauma and through hardships. You earned it. You fought tooth and nail for everything. Mary is not a Mary Sue. Mary is actually like a properly written character of a small, lonely little satyr that honestly went through too much trauma and too much hardships already as it is. Honestly, no, Mary needs to be protected at all times. Protect Mary at all costs. She's a sweet little bean. Because if you don't protect her, she's gonna become the BBEG and ruin the rest of the world, because she actually has the ability to straight up turn evil. She's an evil child that been bullied and treated poorly.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Woman, I seen you use conjure animals. I know you can destroy things all around you if you really wanted to.
No.
Imagine playing with her in campaign, and it's like, okay, there's a big climax of a fight. What will Mary do? I conjure animals. Okay, Mary, what do you conjure? Do you conjure flying bats, or do you conjure the billions of velociraptors? Velociraptors? Cool, you're rolling their attacks. I'm just taking a break, guys. I'll be right back to the bathroom.
30 minutes to an hour later.
If Mary really wanted to, she could totally become the BBG of the campaign. If nobody is kind to Mary, Mary will literally sink the boat. This comes to my question for the sub. I think it's very possible for someone who doesn't have a lot of charisma out of character to play a charismatic character, as things that can inform charisma like social confidence, quick thinking, and good interpersonal instinct, and even more superficial things like eye contact and body language are less of an issue when role-playing. However, when the player is someone who genuinely doesn't see the reason why calling a bunch of people you barely know cowards and bitches wouldn't motivate them to assist you in a potentially dangerous task, I think it might actually be impossible for that person to play a charismatic or likable character. Has anyone else played with someone, doesn't have to be as serious as the story, but the player was sort of devoid of charisma that it carried over to their character? I'm charismatic, but I didn't know how to play Morrow as a charismatic character in the first place in the very beginning. I had no idea what to do. I was learning D&D, I was nervous, and I was playing a charisma-based warlock, and I had no idea what I was doing. It's only later that I finally opened up myself a little bit more to allow myself to be more charismatic. I know what's it like to be playing as a charismatic character. I'm gonna say something, and maybe some players may not agree with me, maybe they will agree with me, maybe Mary may or disagree or agree with me, I don't know. If you make a character that's gonna be all about intimidation, you better know how to intimidate somebody proper. If you make it a character that's gonna be deceptive, you better be really good at lying, or at least know the general basics of lying. If you want to make a character that is inspirational or flirty or charismatic, you should at least know the general basis of what it is to be a charismatic and or flirty character. You need to just know the basics. That's all you gotta know. You don't need to know anything about nature in order to play as a druid. Just as long as you understand there's such things as flowers and trees and mushrooms, different flowers, different trees, and different mushrooms do different things, and there's different parts of nature and basic biomes and stuff, then you're good to go. Let's say, for example, we change up the topic from being charismatic character to being somebody that wants to tame an animal, or like know something about an animal, or track down an animal and stuff. Mary, as somebody who is a proficiency in animal handling, and you love animals in character and out of character, do you think the general basis of like you shouldn't try to corner an animal or try to trap it against its free will if you want to try to befriend it, do you think that's kind of needed to know? How to not be a jerk to animals in order to try to get them to like you and stuff?
I mean, you'd need to know just like little basics, not like really big information. You don't need to know like everything about the animal itself. You just need to know, like, you just need common sense basically about it.
Yeah, you just need common sense. Exactly, thank you. I think player Xylophone is honestly lacking the common sense about what's it like to be a charismatic person and how to talk to other people. I think it's because they're not playing as a character, they're just playing as themselves. So when they're being catty and a-hole to somebody else, they're probably also catty and an a-hole to other people, and they belittle other people. If your natural order, if your natural default setting when interacting with other people is to belittle them and mock them and talk as if you're above them, of course you're not gonna know how to connect to people because you already see them as a lesser. So yes, of course this player is not going to see other people, or not going to be charismatic to people because they don't see people as like worth acknowledging and stuff. The only way they know how to interact with people is by being an a-hole towards them. So no wonder they're not going to be super charismatic. Maybe they're a little bit nicer to people and more than just calling people just suckers and losers and bitches and stuff. Maybe they might actually get some sort of a decent interaction and maybe come off a little bit even remotely charismatic. Interacting with people is already difficult as it is, but I've met more people that are extreme like social like wallflowers and stuff that have way better charisma skills than somebody like player Xylophone. If player Xylophone is anything like their character, then they're probably an insufferable person to be around, and no wonder they're not charismatic because they're so insufferable to be around. If they're gonna be an actual jerk IRL to people, they're gonna see you as an a-hole, and nobody really wants to interact with an a-hole. My best suggestion for a character Xylophone, and I think Mary will double up with me, don't be an a-hole. Simple as that. You just don't be an a-hole to other people. You probably have an easy time interacting with people. Take that self-awareness, take that feedback that our players gave you, that the fact that you probably shouldn't just call people names. Maybe you should take it to heart and should consider it. Maybe not do it in the future. Or if you're gonna do it ironically because your character is that kind of character is doing it, because they're going through some sort of character development. The fact that this player doesn't even recognize that this is shocked by the revelation of the character is like, oh, no, my character is not that, really? I kind of feel like they just lack a lot of self-awareness and they need a little bit of reflection, basically realize, holy crap, I'm actually a jerk. And once you get through that, then maybe they can make a charismatic character. But until then, I don't think it's gonna work. I don't think this is the kind of player that you want to have in your campaign. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales Tomorrow. Bye-bye.